Right. Another beautiful Saturday night in Connecticut with rain and cold, even some sleet earlier. Hope everybody's doing well. I see quite a bit going on in chat already. It'll show up over here in just a minute on my other monitor. Again, I hope everybody's doing well. It sounds like David's doing well. Mr. Stewart is camping and enjoying internet at his camping location. That's always nice. But Mozman, Greg, Jeffrey, David, Chad, I see all of you in here. All right. Okay, I don't know who's going to join tonight as a guest. I sent out the invitations so those that want to join can, and just be a nice surprise to all of us. Not a lot of news going on in the camera world other than, hey, Roy, good to see you too, buddy. I guess somebody just dropped a video talking about the capabilities of the new OM1. Not a big fan of Olympus or whatever they're going to be called now. But yeah, same bunch of misfits as usual. You're absolutely right. Jeff and Leslie, glad to see you guys in here as well. Yeah, one person we've been missing is Agnetha. And I don't know where he is, or maybe he's been busy lately. Hope he's okay. Gustavo, good to see you, buddy. Pull Jeffrey in here. How you doing, Mr. Jeffrey?
Hello, hello. How you doing?
Doing well, doing well. Oh man, Greg, I see you in
Another
here.
chance.
Agnetha quit photography. Is that so, Mozman? Made good film cameras, Roy says. Olympus, that is. Not a fan of the tiny sensors. Yeah. It has a loyal fan base. I don't know how big it is, but there is a loyal fan base for the Olympus cameras, especially for video. Oh, I'll have to check. I didn't see that. I don't know how I missed it because I check the comments quite often, but I will. Huh. Quit photography for any particular reason, or what was the conversation? Rather than go look, try to dig it up now. I don't know where the Hagen is tonight. He may be busy. He might have had another gig that he had to shoot. Talked to Ronald Pollard a couple of times a day. He's doing well, and he's going to join us here before long. Oh, it just wasn't for him. Okay. That's a shame.
That's too bad. I mean, obviously, it can be a frustrating hobby.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I can understand that. A lot of people do that, I guess. No, he seemed very much part of the conversation most of the time. So I expected that maybe it was, something else. I didn't have any idea that it could have been just photography's just not his thing. Yeah. We always try, Moz, man. Nikan, good to see you. You had the Olympus OM4. Let's throw a comment up here. OM4. Excuse me, man. Got a little indigestion here. Leica M6 plus Canon E1. Oh, they were all stolen. Okay. Had been using the FM2 at the time of my 13th birthday. Wow. So you'd had that for quite a while. It's a shame. Mm-mm-mm. Hey, my beautiful daughter's in here. How you doing, Miss Courtney? Miss you. Thomas Bex. Let me just grab a beer and I'm in. All right, Thomas. Yes, bring your own bottle, dress as you are. Perfect. That's a shame.
Conversation goes smoother with a beer, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Gotta love a daddy comment. Oh man. That's
Now,
my
she
baby.
must live close to you, Chuck. She lives.
No, she's in Kentucky.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
He's back in your home state.
Yes, sir. Beck's beer. Come as you are. That's right. Come as you are. All right. Yeah, there's not a lot of news right now. Talking to Ronald Pollard, though, he's a pleasure to talk to. The guy's a true professional. I forgot to pull his website up. I should have pulled his website up so you guys could look, but it's easy. It's ronaldpollard.com or to get to his website. And yeah, man, he's a pro, no doubt about it. Some fantastic photos. Oh, so my youngest daughter says that my oldest daughter is coming too. Oh, Derby Day. Okay. Yeah, it was Derby Day, and I didn't even watch the Derby today.
Got your AC working yet?
Yep, it's up and running. Everything's going.
Good.
Really happy with that. Got that part done. Have the dumpster sitting out there filling up with water. I guess I'll have a big swimming pool before it quits raining. Need to start loading it up with stuff. Doing the decluttering. So trying to get that done. But yeah, I'm trying to get down south as soon as we can. Then I can really set this stuff up and pay attention, a whole lot more attention. Albert, how you doing, buddy? Here you go, Jeffrey. We'll throw it up here for everybody to see. Congratulations, Jeffrey, on the latest video.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Tell everybody what your YouTube site is, the YouTube channel is, so everybody can go check it out that hasn't already.
Selective Imagery is the name of the channel. Because I'm selective.
Nothing wrong with that. All right. Hassan, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you in here tonight. Happy day before Mother's Day. Yep. Otherwise known as a great day for grits. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Big followers in Ireland, Nikon's saying. Horse racing, dog racing apart from the Irish road racing and sidecar racing. Miss Amanda's in here, my beautiful stepdaughter, who is my daughter, actually. I'll just call her my daughter, too. I got way too many daughters, I think. All right, we got through all the welcomes in here. Yeah, again, I wish I had some earth-shattering news about something going on in the Nikon world, other than all the rebates. For those of you that are, had been thinking about cameras and lenses in the Z series, a lot of pretty good deals going on right now, anywhere from $100 to $500 off, depending on the lens or the package that you choose. So if you've been hanging on, waiting for an opportunity to buy, I think now's the time to do it. I saw a lot of things that I'd like. So we're always talking about all the telephoto and super telephoto lenses. How about tonight we switch it up for those that have, because most of us are shooting everything but super telephoto most of the time. And, I know the roadmap has to be updated here real soon. I'll bring this telephoto up. The 400 PF lens that we expected to be a PF lens, that should be announced here before too long. Thank you, Amanda. Best thing, throw Amanda up here. Best thing going on in the Nikon world. We love your show. Thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate that. And here's another comment. This is on our super telephoto end, though. Do you know when the Nikon Z600 F4 comes out? No, I haven't heard anything at all about that. But I think Nikon's going to surprise us with some more updates on with announcements on some of these lenses here before long, because we're about at the end of the roadmap for this first iteration. And we know that they're going to add, I guess, how many do we have left to get to 50? I can't remember. I don't know. I don't know how many are on the current map. I know everybody's waiting on the 2 to 600 for the long end. And a lot of people are waiting on the 85 1.2. I'm actually waiting on that lens as well. I want to see what it's going to do. How many of you folks have the 50 1.2? Because I heard great things. I've seen great things with that lens. And I'm really jonesing for that as well. Although I'm going to have to hang on to my money a little bit to figure out which lens is most important to me. So I'm kind of waiting on the 85 to drop. Hey, let's see. Jaspreet, good to see you in here. Where were you the other night when John from Frame Voyager was in here? I missed you, man. I know you got to sleep sometime, so I can't be too hard on you. Thomas, 85 1.4. Is there a, well, we assume, do we have actual confirmation that 85 is going to be a 1.2? There isn't a 1.4 lens out in the Z line, so we assume, I guess
I think everybody's assuming a 1.2, but I don't think Nikon's officially stated such.
yeah. Z8 camera, yeah, we'll get into that a bit in a minute. I like getting on that rant. And actually talking to Ronald today too about some of the things with Nikon, at least my opinion on, the marketing and communication. Although I will say that it seems that they at least took a step forward in both departments here recently. So, I'm happy about that, but they've got a long way to go. Roy's talking about the 85 looks fat enough to be a 1.2. Yes, it does. I just hope it's not a defocus lens. I can't see Nikon making a defocus lens here in the Z line, but who knows? Some people were saying early on that that's what it was going to be. I don't know where they got their information from. Mozman. Has anybody ever seen Jaspreet and Frame Voyager in a chat at the same time? Yeah, it's funny, but yeah, I guess I have seen him. He's frequently over on Frame Voyager's streams as well. I love all your intensity on the video side, though, Jaspreet. I really do, because I'm a believer in it myself. Chad, why do you say don't count on the Z8 anytime soon? I'm curious. Just curious about that. I mean, I have my reasons why I believe it's going to be sooner rather than later. One for this conspiracy guy. I miss Mozman's. Oh, Jaspreet and Frame Voyager in the same chat. I guess he could do it if he had two laptops.
Wonder how many have the 51.8.
I do have that lens, and I'm actually really happy with it. So I don't know, the 1.2's got to bring something more to the table, because the 1.8's extremely sharp. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, I watched his live stream, but I disagree with him. And watching Gray's of Westminster the other day, if you were watching them, they seem to think, or at least Khan seems to think, that the Z8 will be out sooner rather than later. I still believe it's going to be announced this year. Some people aren't even sure it's going to be, the Z8 will be that camera that I'm looking for. I'm looking for the competitor to the R5. I was thinking about that today. The R5 is the 5D Mark IV for Canon, because that camera was so popular and sold so well and did so well, and that seems to be the place that the R5 is taken. And Nikon, again, has nothing to compete in that same category, if you will, or level. Old F mount 1.8.
Yeah. That's what I got sitting in the bag, an old F mount 51.8.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, Chad. I know what he was saying. He's under NDA, so you know there could be some conspiracy theory here about that. If you're under the NDA, under an NDA, you can't. You have to figure out how to talk away from certain or talk your way out of certain discussions because it's really hard to talk if you've been an advocate for a piece of equipment and all of a sudden Nikon reaches out to you to test it or try it or play with it or whatever, and you're under NDA doing that test or whatever, then it's really hard. How do you then go back and continue to bash Nikon for not developing it or having it on the books or whatever? So that's my conspiracy theory there with Seth Miranda. I did really appreciate his show the other night, his live stream. He was beating his Z9 with his fist, which I thought was hilarious because people had said something to him about you need to be careful with your camera. I don't know what he had done something with his camera, and somebody noticed and started berating him about taking care of your equipment and everything else. So that's one of the things that I get tired of hearing all these weirdos talk about. I wouldn't take my camera out in the rain, or if you have to shoot in the rain, you need to do this, and this. Hey, it's professional equipment. It's built for that. It's built with that weather resistance in it. So I get tired of hearing people that there are obviously people that never use their equipment. If they can't take it out in the rain or snow, or they're afraid to bump it or something else, then they obviously don't use their equipment. Z8 will be the D850 equivalent with better video. Yes, it will, Nikon. I agree with you 100%. So in essence, now I think it's going to be the Z8 will be the baby Z9, and that opens up all kinds of uh, angst with people, and some it's anger and everything else. Why would I buy a Z9 if I could buy a Z8, a baby Z9 and a Z8? Well, because the Z8 will have some physical limitations that you can't overcome just by virtue of its size, and that would be heat dissipation and battery life. And you could always, yes, you can add a grip to it if you want, but most people don't want to do that. They want the smaller camera. So there's a couple of reasons why it could be a baby Z9 with limitations. Um, what would hamper them in the production of the Z8? Almost nothing, because all the parts they need are already on hand. Just use the same sensor, use the same processor, and go to town. Just limit its capabilities. Put the Nikon cripple hammer, I guess you could call it, on it, but for uh, physical reasons as well. Yeah, everybody that shoots with a Z9 or a flagship camera soon learns why flagship is great for all day shooting with that big battery in it.
I guess all those people that must have passed out when Joe McNally did the video in what you like to shoot with the motocross and had mud all over the
Yeah,
body, all gritty looking, and falling down in the mud, getting the shots and everything. And they must have all had heart attacks, I guess. I don't know.
yeah. I wonder if they sent him a bunch of emails telling him he should take care of his equipment, as if he
Yeah.
doesn't know how to do that. It's just
I mean, to be honest with you, if I dropped my camera in the mud, I would have to think a little bit on how I wanted to clean it.
right,
You're obviously not going to take the garden hose off and spray it.
right.
So
Yeah.
that would take a little bit of thought to decide how to do it without working the sand into the camera.
Yep, absolutely. Oh, Jess
We have
Breeder.
Joe on and ask him how they cleaned them when it went after that shoot.
Yeah, that would be something that would have been interesting if they had talked about that, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
How come Nikon doesn't do a one of their videos showing how to actually clean the camera after using it out in the real world? And I'm not talking just a little dust. I'm talking really out there using it, just like Joe was that day.
Yeah. That would be a good video.
Yeah, it would.
It's gonna happen. It happens to you at some point in your lifetime. You're gonna have an accident like that. And
Yeah.
well, or in that case, it's like they knew it was going to be like that. That was the risk of doing the shoot, and
Yeah.
that was it. It wasn't his personal camera, I'm sure, but still, I'm sure he
Um,
wouldn't hesitate even if it was, because that's how Joe is.
yep, absolutely. Yeah, I shot this has been several years ago when I was actually shooting some of the AMA Pro motocross events, but had one event in June and it just poured. I mean, poured down rain. The track was nothing but a sloppy mess. And I took the camera out there and shot. And yeah, I got mud on it. There was mud slung on the camera. Yeah, it did rain and poured on the camera. But just as Roy said here a minute ago, the lenses are probably more susceptible to issues than the camera, since the camera the camera and lenses were weather sealed. Not all are, not all lenses are, but the one I was using was, and I actually didn't have any trouble at all. I wasn't going to stop shooting because it was raining. I don't understand that mentality. Long Rider, good to see you, sir. And Courtney, I saw your thing there. Oh, there's my oldest daughter, Miss Jennifer. Folks, love you too, baby. You got to love it when your kids show up and give you a little support.
At least they're checking on you, Chuck. They're making
Yep.
sure that air conditioning unit didn't fall on you.
Yep. That is Mr. Long Rider saying hello. Shop vac, mud off my lens. There you go. That's a pretty good idea. Mozman said the same thing up here. We'll tape around the end of the vacuum nozzle and suck all the sand and dirt off. Now, yep. Yeah, I just can't imagine people making those statements. Do they realize how crazy they sound? I mean, watch the videos. Morton Helmer, he just throws his on his little Akio and drags it through the snow and everything else, brushes it off with his glove, picks it up and starts shooting, which is what Seth did the other night. He was beating on his camera with his fist, then just slams it down on the desk, picks it back up and goes, imagine that. It still focuses and shoots. Not an issue.
No, Mr. Ryan Troy's in the house.
All right. I got to catch up here. Mr. Ryan Troy. Troy sent you a link if you want to join. You should have an email.
Like David, don't forget your power washer.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, what do you mean, like the one of those squirt guns? That would be what you'd be using, a little squirt gun.
Exactly. One of those little sprayer bottles that you spray your flowers with or whatever. Mr. Amanda, or Miss Amanda. You know, your mother had a great day with you today. Just want you to know that. Oh, it's your birthday. Just watching the fam when I get ready to go out for the night. Okay. All right, buddy. Gotcha, Mr. Troy. Happy birthday. That's right. I did say happy birthday to you, didn't I, today?
Happy birthday. Just keep saying 29, even when you're 80. Just say 29.
Oh. Oh, man. Yeah, I just wish I had some news or I could go on a rant. I don't know why I'm being good tonight. I don't know why. You guys are bringing out just the good side of me. Because it's so easy to go on a rant. Everybody's saying happy birthday to Mr. Ryan Troy. 65, huh, Chad? Man, I'm not too far behind you, buddy. I'm right on your heels.
Yeah, I'm not too far back, but I just in April hit 63 for me.
Yeah.
Now, if I went by how I feel, I'd have to add about 20.
Miss Amanda, we want to know how you know as much as you do. That's a good question. I get asked that quite often, especially when I start talking about what Nikon's going to do next. You know, a lot of it has to do with just my gut feeling. And I know people say don't trust your gut, but um, I don't know. I've got a pretty good track record with that. And the reason, I guess, is I look at everything through common sense eyes. What makes sense? That doesn't mean it's always going to come to fruition, but you know, some of the predictions with Nikon, it just absolutely makes sense. And looking at the market share between the major brands right now, and where Nikon is, and you know, trying to deduce what's holding them back, it's really easy to predict what they need to do next. So it's really just about following what facts you have and putting the puzzle together and saying, okay, this logically should be next. And but I know that doesn't carry a lot of water for people. Everybody wants absolutes. That's where we are in the world today. The military was kind of going that way when I left. Instead of the art of war, we were in the science of war. Oh, all
Tell
right.
you, I've had some fun in the yard. Well, not really good fun. My dog had been getting attacked by mockingbirds. My dog would go out in the backyard to do her business, and the neighbor has a trellis against the side of their house with, flowering plants in it and whatever. And I guess they built a nest in there. So they've been dive bombing my dog. So I had to have a pep talk with Patches and say, look, this is your yard, kind of like a Home Alone thing. This is your yard, protect it.
Yeah.
So now she's got the attitude, and she's been chasing the birds and barking at them, and the birds are starting to back off because they realize she ain't going to take no crap from them.
Yeah.
But they actually went after me. They actually came down and tried to land on me.
Yep.
That would be stupid.
Yep. I had a cat that the birds used to attack all the time. He didn't care. He was so big, he didn't care. He let them play their bird games. There you go. I'm with you, Greg. Same thing here, man. It's easy to fall to my knees to take a photo. It's hard to get back up though. You notice I said fall to my knees. It's not a controlled squat anymore. Jaspreet bringing up the Z6 II and Z7 II, talking about the firmware update because replacements are not far away. At least we're going to see an announcement by the end of the year. Well, according to Seth Miranda, and again, I actually got a little more respect for Seth the other night or watching his live stream, but he says summer of next year. I don't know. I don't know when we'll see the updates for the Z6 II and Z7 II. I have my thoughts on what they're going to be, but not exactly when we're going to hear anything about it. However, so many people seem to think the Z7 III is going to be the D850 ish replacement and fall into that just under the flagship model. I don't know. I don't know. I think that we're going to have two separate cameras. They're not going to compete with each other. One's going to be a little better at one thing than the other. I still think that the Z7 III, well, I think it will be. And if it, you know, if Nikon doesn't do it, then they should have. That needs to be the high megapixel camera because everybody's still talking about that. You know, the early prediction for the Z7 III was the 61 megapixel sensor, the Sony sensor, the old 4-year-old sensor. It's not going to be that sensor. I think that we're going to see something new with the Z7 II. What it's going to be, I don't know, but that needs to be the high megapixel sensor camera for all those that shoot landscape or portraiture or things like that. So then you could talk about wedding photographers. Or do they want 80 or 100 megapixel camera? I don't think so, unless Nikon continues with the secret sauce on being able to have a good quality compressed raw file. But I think that's where the all-rounder Z8 baby Z9 comes in would be a great wedding photographer's camera, as the Z9 is now. The Z6 II, I still think is going to, or Z6 III is going to be a very good hybrid camera, meaning it's going to have some very good video capability in it. And I think that fills out the card for Nikon. It's a little bit different than what Canon offers and Sony. Not much, but a little bit different. And then we get into the Z5, Z50, and so on and so forth for APS-C and entry-level full frame. Somebody had mentioned doing a nice update on the Z5 for the entry level. And then you've got people that are saying that entry level has to be below $1,000. Well, now you're just talking about the Costco D3000 series, pallets of them in Costco at whatever the cost was, $5.99, $6.99, or whatever. I don't think Nikon's going there. Another thing that I heard over the weekend or week was when talking about deciding which camera to come out with next, because things are in short supply and the supply or logistics lines are still bogged down, then you come out with the camera that's going to give you the most return on your investment. And why would you try to, because you can't manufacture enough sub $1,000 cameras to turn a big profit. So you need to produce cameras in this time that turn a better profit, because you're going to have to produce them in limited supply anyway. So that made sense to me. That resonates with me. So maybe that's the reason the Z9 came before the Z8. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't see them having anything that's $1,000.
No, I don't.
Period.
I don't.
It's not in their. It's not in their best interest right now.
No.
That.
No, I agree. Right now, again, they just need to, fill that gap. They're leaking right now. We're leaking buyers or purchasers or whatever. Hey, John, good to see you, Mr. Ishii.
Hello, John.
Yeah, I don't see that happening with trying to develop or produce a super cheap entry level kind of camera. And are we talking APS-C or are we talking full frame? Because full frame right now, we have that with the Z5. So the Z5 needs an update, though. It does. I'll agree to that. Jess Breed in here again. Due to some high specs crop sensor cameras, Z6 III need to have some at least 30, 35 megapixel 6K specs. I agree. I agree with you, Jess Breed. If the Z8 will be the mini Z9, then the Z6 III will be the mini Z8. Well, yeah, yeah, you could say that. The D750 was the mini, D850. But as I said the other day, I think that was the D700 update, actually, because people cried for a D700 update for so long. It just never happened until the 750 series came out. John, thought I'd watch some YouTube to see some questions in the comment section. There you go. It'll be the summer of Sam too if Nikon waits another year. Agree with you 100%, Maz, man. And you know what? They know what they're missing out on. I don't know why they're hesitating, but they need to announce again, communicate, let us know, or let others know that aren't going to buy the Z9, but they want not. When I say the same capability, understand, I'm not saying that it does exactly everything that the Z9 does. Don't get me wrong here. When I say baby Z9, a baby has less capability than a grown man, obviously. So will the Z8, but it needs to compete in that group with the R5. The R5 is just become a fantastic camera for Canon. How many Canon shooters are shooting the R5? A bunch of people, because it remains in the more affordable category. It's not the cheapest camera, but it's at least in the more affordable category. And that's exactly what Nikon needs. And show everybody that would even consider Nikon, hey, we have a fully developed line, and here's what you can expect from Nikon down the road. Another year and a half, if they wait, or another year, then that's just that many more people that won't even consider Nikon because they haven't proven that they have a fully developed line that you can buy into and move up as you continue to shoot.
Yeah, Mr. Stewart got his 500 PF the other day before he left for his camping adventure.
Good on
Luckily,
you.
he had to go through a little bit of, he had to change dealers to find the one that was the only one that was in his area.
Well, good for you there, Mr. David.
Now, Mark Smith didn't have, he did a two-part series uh, shooting with the 100 to 400, which he liked quite a bit, Z mount 1 to 4.
Yeah.
But when he put the 500 PF on, he's sending it back. He says he wasn't overly impressed with it, but I have not found those same problems that he talked about in his video.
See, this has been interesting because there have been some AF issues that some people have had that don't exist elsewhere with other cameras. So, could it be a camera specific issue? Just like lenses, you have a lens from time to time that you have to send back and get a new lens because of some specific problem you have with it. So, is that what's going on here? You think? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if he got a bad copy of a lens or he has
Yeah.
a issue with the camera. I don't know, but I mean, especially now, I don't know how much he cropped those images that he was showing of the spoonbills. I mean, if those were full frame shots, then I really would not understand why the camera was not focusing on the eye and supposedly, focusing on the shoulder area. If it was really that large in your viewfinder. Uh,
Yeah,
I don't know.
because
I mean,
honestly,
that's
I was looking at it. I didn't even look at it on the computer or on the big screen. From what I could see, at least on iPad, to be honest, I couldn't tell a difference. I couldn't tell where it looked fine to me. I'm not saying that it didn't back focus or something, but I don't know.
well. I think there's a lot of and I've done it too. So I will raise my hand and I'm guilty of it too. Uh, is I follow some, professional photographers for many years now, and some of the ones, let's say, that shot for National Geographic. I mean, many of them would tell you, don't shoot wide open. You don't have to shoot wide open. Why shoot wide open? And a lot of people do shoot wide
Yeah,
open. And a lot of these new lenses are sharp, edge to edge, wide open. The Z mount, anyway. The F mount, not so much. But stop it down a couple stops if you got enough light, because that way you take away that little bit of error that you could have with the AF, or you're not quite right on it and you're still going to get the sharp eye. If you're always
yeah,
shooting wide open. And I think, I don't want to speak for Mark, but I think he does shoot wide open a lot. And he even made a comment. He says, well, if I stopped it down, I probably wouldn't have a problem, but for whatever reason, I don't think he did. But that's something to consider. I mean, a lot of people that made their living with National Geographic would do whatever they had to do to make it put in that safety buffer when they took a shot to try to make sure they didn't have that kind of a problem.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think what he's talking about too. Maybe this is one of those cases where he's saying the baby's ugly without actually calling it ugly. You know, what he's really talking about is the tracking, the focus point tracking. Oh, hang on, we got a call. All right, sir, go ahead.
Well, hello, Chuck. David here.
Hey, David. Everybody here,
Hello,
David?
David.
Anybody that can't hear me, raise their hand.
All right, David.
No, I
go
can hear
ahead,
you.
man. You enjoying yourself out there sitting around the fire watching the live stream?
No, I'm not sitting around the fire anyway. I heated my house with wood for 10 years, and so I don't care if I have another fire.
Okay.
But anyway, I want to give you my 2 cents worth on the 500 PF.
Okay.
As when I headed out, I only shot wide open. I didn't even go to f8. It was always 5.6.
Okay.
And I really liked the narrow depth of field on it. And because I had it on my Z9 with a high megapixel, you can you really see the narrow depth of field in it.
Right.
And so and with the Z9, my subject was always in focus. Well, not always, but like 95% of the time. So it wasn't a problem, and I got the kind of results that I want. And it's lately I've just been shooting wide open, no matter which lens I have, because they're all good wide open.
Yeah, and I think that's what everybody wants. Those lenses, the primes, because they want that out of focus area or the bokeh to be super buttery or special. So
well, the thing is, if you're shooting a bird in flight and you just got sky behind them, it doesn't
I know what you mean that way, and I had 2 birds side by side, and like one behind the other, I should say, and my subject was tack sharp, and the other one wasn't. But if I was shooting 24 megapixels versus 45, both would have been sharp.
Yeah.
And Gusto was wondering what were you shooting for equipment? I got the 500 PF and the Z9, and I was shooting birds. So there's no gators here. Yeah, I'm staying away from gators.
Gators
because I leave them to Jeff.
Yeah. Oh, gators are my friends. Gators are my friends.
But anyway, I'll let you two go, and hopefully we get to see Patches. You might just have to give her a kick so she wakes up.
Oh, well, wait a minute.
But anyway,
Patch. Come here, little one.
Yeah. Talk to you later, and I'll keep watching.
All right, Dave.
Here we go. Ball and mouth.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
There we go. Ball and mouth. Patches, say hi to everybody.
Gotta have the puppy.
This is the biggest problem in the house right here.
Yep.
Tennis ball. Right, little one?
So Mozman has the 50 and the 105 macro. That's a good question, John. I was going to ask him the same thing. Is he using it just for macro photography or for maybe portraits or something else? Not just portraits, but something else. Oh, Jeffrey, you got a question there about Patches, about Chid.
Female dog, 5 years old. Dachshund, Chihuahua, boxer mix.
Wow.
Talk about a confused dog. Small body. The boxer says, "Why am I stuck in this small body?" But it is what it is. I wish I was stuck in a smaller body, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So a lot of people are really raving about the 105. I thought about buying that as well a month ago when I was thinking about trying to pick something up to use in the studio for portraits. And everybody continues to rave about how sharp it is.
I got it, but I am shameful to say I have not used it yet. I want to basically go to the botanical gardens, and I want to kind of do a somewhat of a shootout between the close focus capability of the 24 to 120 and then the 105, and just kind of like see how they both do.
You know, Michael Mallow talking about it's on his wish list. John Ishii says, I've got to get it. It's killer. Yeah, I don't know what I'm holding out for. I don't know. I definitely want to pick up something though that's in the medium tele range. So
My
100,
problem is I ran out of this thing called money. Ran
yeah,
out of money for a while. I
yeah,
got to pay off this computer.
yeah. If anything, that's what I need. Actually, I need storage and I need a new computer. So that may be what I actually wind up doing. I guess that's why I haven't actually bought a lens yet. Michael Mallow, I wonder if they will do an S version of the 200 millimeter f2. I don't know. There's a rumor that isn't there a rumor out that Canon's getting ready to do that, an RF mount 202. I thought I saw something about that. Just rumor right now. So I don't know. I need to take my 200 f2 out with the FTZ on it because it works fine with the FTZ adapter. I don't have any trouble with that lens. Probably play with that. I mean, the difference is you're adding about 4 pounds more weight just to play with the background. And I don't mind carrying it around and doing things with it. So, but you guys would be glad to know that I took the Z9 out the other day just for real quick. Went out there the other day, shot a little video, 4K video, and took some stills because I had a downy woodpecker back there on a tree, and he was just going to town on the tree, hammering the tree, and it came out pretty good considering he was in complete shadow. So I was really impressed with the 1-400 and how steady I could hold it. Actually, it was all handheld, and it looks pretty good. I'm gonna have to do some edit it a little bit and maybe show you guys. But I was really happy with it, slowing it down and watching his little head beat his brains out.
It looks like Mazman's going to have one more lens to pack on the way home back to California. He's picking up a 24 to 120 in North Carolina.
There you go. Mazman, he's got some lenses. He's been steady on the lens hunt.
Yeah.
I should say you too, though, Jeff. You ordered the 800, didn't you?
I ordered it, but I am going to hold off on it, to be honest with you. My subject matter is not good right now, and it would be sitting on the shelf too much. So I'm going to table that one, and I may go the other route. I may, have to start doing more landscapes and seascapes and stuff. So I might be looking more at the 14 to 24 or doing something like that.
Yeah.
But I gotta wait a month or two. I gotta get the bills down a little bit.
Yeah, it's the same here. Right now, in the process of trying to move to another state, I can't be buying a bunch of stuff that it's never about need though, is it, Jeffrey? It's only about want. So I want way too many lenses.
you get this itch and it won't go away. It's bad.
Hero
Bad
Shot
and dangerous.
Yeah, Hero Shot says, "How about a 200 1.2?" Man, wouldn't that set everybody on fire? Of course, you probably couldn't hold the thing, but it'd be so heavy. But man, wouldn't that be something? Nikon was saying, "How about the Nikon not Nikon? Canon should remake the 200 1.8 in the RF mount." Yeah, somebody had mentioned that wherever I heard this from, and I can't remember where it was, but somebody chimed in and said the very same thing. Nikon, why not just remake the 200 1.8? Thomas Beck's NPS in Switzerland. Okay. So Thomas, how's the delivery going on the all the Nikon gear that's recently been announced to include the Z9? Are you guys still waiting on a whole lot of these lenses and the Z9 body? I'm just curious if it compares to the US. It seems like Asia is doing well. Now, I may be completely wrong, but it just seemed like there's been a lot of people in Asia that have been receiving a lot of this gear a lot quicker than we here in the United States have. And man, Europe's been really bad, hadn't it? You know, everybody's still fighting to get Z9 and everything else. Not that we aren't too, but it just seems like it's just been trickling in Europe.
England's getting creamed. I mean, they haven't really gotten any decent shipments of Z9s at all. I mean, Becky and Con would be talking about, yeah, we got one this month, or
Yeah,
get one camera at body at a time.
that's
That's
crazy.
pretty tough.
Yeah.
One at a time.
So Thomas says yes, very slowly in over in Norway. Was it
Switzerland.
Switzerland. Okay, Switzerland, Norway, Sweden.
Where there's snow and
Yes.
cold.
Where it's very cold. Oh man. Alberta, the bird flu capital of Canada. Not all that many birds here. So very slowly. That's a shame. Oh, boarding. Mozman getting on the plane. You watching on your phone, Mozman? Roy talking about much of the gears on the shelves in the camera shops here.
Wow.
Poor Nikon, he's over there. He was fortunate in his travels to be able to pick up his Z9, but different story on the lenses. He's still waiting for lenses. Oh man. 20 degrees Celsius, not cold. No, not at all in Switzerland right now. I'm guessing that it's cooler than that here in Connecticut tonight. Huh. Not bad at all.
Well, it's interesting. My friend that's an Nps has the 400, 2.8 with the 1.4 TC built in, and he also said he didn't need it, but it's that itch you get. He bought and already got his 800. So he's got the 400 and he's got the 800, and now he says he's done. But we always know how that ends up. You're never ever done.
No. I know I've said that before too. Trying to make my wife happy.
Got to find a doctor that could give you a prescription for camera and lens itch. Can I get a prescription for that?
John Young just let's see, John. Seen the Omar Gonzalez photography. Fix your Nikon Z stabilization mistakes now. So I haven't seen it. That sounds interesting, though. Sound interesting. I actually, you know what? I did see something flip across the screen. It had Omar Gonzalez, but I haven't looked at it yet. So maybe that's what you're talking about. I need to check it out. Seems like in the title it said something about the 1.4 firmware update to it too. Johnny Depp joke. That's been quite the show, hasn't it? That court drama.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ordered the Z9 24 to 120 late March, received on 4/22 using Nps. Okay. All right. It's still a long wait, though, isn't it? Well, no, from March. I was thinking from February or something. No, that's great. So it does pay to be an NPS member, no doubt about that. What else we got over here? Oh yeah, there you go. John makes a great point. If you want to do anything, get your wife into photography and pick up Leica. Then you can buy whatever you want in Nikon or Canon or whatever.
I gotta get my dog's ball.
Yeah, some need a wife. Some of us need a wife to save us from such things. It's so true. Let's see. Omar did a few things like put electronic stabilization on. There you go. That's great. Death means idiot in German. Johnny Idiot. You gotta love that. And I'm proud to say that he's a Kentuckian. Well, he is a Kentuckian. I'm not proud to say, actually. Meaning of the term bodies in the trunk. Yes. There you go. Good question. Very good question, Long Rider. So do we have anybody in here? Nobody's brought it up in chat before, but anybody have the 50.95?
Knocked lens?
Yep, the knocked lens. Or has anybody actually rented it or something and tried it? I haven't. Nikon says he tried it, but you need a tripod. I can believe that. As long as it's static, I guess it'd be fine, especially with focus peaking in the Z cameras. The Z9's fantastic with that. Static locations or whatever, I think it'd be great. John, you tried it? Mr. Ishii says he's tried it.
I wonder how it is if you want to do video.
Hey, thank you, David. I appreciate that. So Roy says he'd buy it. Or he tried it, would have bought it if it was AF. Yeah, I hear you, Roy. My eyes aren't as good anymore, so trying to focus becomes more and more of an issue without autofocus. So I am definitely depending on the camera's autofocus more and more. And get a sky crane to haul it to my face. Long Rider says the autofocus area looks incredible on that lens. I'm going to guess it really does. So I got a question for you, Long Rider. Have you heard anybody comparing it to these third-party 0.95 lenses that are out now, even some in a Nikon mount and the Z mount? I wonder how those lenses at 0.95 compare to something like the Noct. Surely they can't. I mean, if so, that's the same question I'd have the guy ask me about the baby Z9. Why would I buy a Z9 if I could buy the Z8 and get everything in it?
Has a long throw like the 200 to 500 zoom. Yeah, that zoom, I liked it, but yeah, it was one of those where you're turning and then turning, grabbing it and turning and turning and turning and turning and
John says focus ring keeps going and going and going.
Like the Energizer bunny. Keeps going and going.
So a lot of people have argued for Nikon, saying that the only reason they produced that was to show what was capable. I don't know if I would have said it that way. I don't know that, if that's not the product you want to say, here's what's capable, meaning it always has to be that big or whatever. I don't know.
Well, I think they were just trying to show how wide open they could get with that new mount, and I don't know if that was really the smartest thing to do, because they invested all that engineering time in a lens that
Yeah.
very, very few people are going to buy it.
Yeah.
And they could have been putting their engineering effort and money on other things.
Yep. Absolutely. It's Seth saying, anybody with the Z9, would the Z8 be a backup or whatever? Yeah, actually, it just give me two cameras. That's what uh, I'd like to have it for. One of the things I like about the Z9, and the reason that I actually got it, was it eliminates the need for a couple of cameras, because the Z9 for me can be in the studio, in the studio, or out in the field, shooting motocross or whatever sports or whatever, which I couldn't do both. I can now, before people start throwing tomatoes at me. You, you don't need a high megapixel camera for portraiture or studio. I get that, but it is nice to have it. So anyway, I had the D850 that I love shooting in the studio. But it's not the fastest camera in the world when you take it out to the, shoot sports and whatnot. I'm not going to say wildlife, because the only wildlife I shoot are my birds out back. It's not like I'm a wildlife shooter. But I'd much rather have the D5 in those situations. So I had the D5 and the D850, which covered both of those different, niches. Now the Z9 actually takes care of both for me, and that's the reason I was really happy to get the Z9. So anyway,
Yeah, the Z8 would be my. I only have the one mirrorless camera now, the Z9. So sometime down the road, a Z8 would be nice to have a second mirrorless camera that still has high-end capabilities, and it would be more than a backup. It would be, something you just put a different lens on, and carry both cameras.
I was just going to say that I wanted to add something to it, and you nailed it, Jeff. Because if I'm going out, I'll probably have two cameras with me, so I can have two different focal ranges. Meaning, I don't have to change a lens; I just grab the other camera and shoot. And I think the Z8 would be a great complement to the Z9 if the specs are what I've predicted. It would be nice to carry, short, medium telephoto, or long telephoto on one, and maybe a prime on the other. And I like to do that when I'm shooting events often, so I've got both areas covered. So yeah, it wouldn't be a backup, although I guess you could consider it a backup as well. But I do like to carry two cameras when I'm out shooting things. A
Well,
second workhorse.
if you're fortunate enough to be able to go on trips to Africa or the Arctic, or places where really the environment is horrible for you to take a lens off and change it, then you need to have two bodies, and you need to have different lenses on each body, because you're not in an area where you want to take a lens off your camera.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys remember, oh shoot. Uh, I'm not going to say his name right. Gertrude. Um, I had him on the show. He's in Kenya, wildlife photographer.
And he
And
was great.
remember his comment that he's gotten away from long super telephotos, and a lot of his photos are now being shot with a 24-70. I thought that was neat. Now he is doing things a little bit different, not like everybody else, but I think if I were on a safari in Africa, I would probably want, yes, a long prime telephoto, super telephoto, but I think a 24-70 would be a good choice also. You see all these pictures of people when the leopard decides to climb up on top of the vehicle they're in and sit on the hood or on the roof or whatever. You're not going to get too much with a 600 f4 when that happens. or when it gets close to the vehicle. So yeah, I could see it 24 to 70 in those situations.
Well, too, they get those you get those magnificent sunset, sunrise shots with the
Yes.
giraffes or the elephants in the background, and you need the wide angle lens for that, so.
I'm guilty of wanting to fill the frame completely with everything, a bird or whatever. But sometimes it's nice to show the habitat,
Yeah.
Show the environment. And I'm guilty of not doing that often. And I need to get out of that habit. Everything doesn't have to be, the eye of the bird doesn't have to be 3 inches across on the screen, you know. Yeah. John says that's iPhone time. Long Rider talking about where we are now. Even some Sigmas outperform Otis line. Yeah. But, we talked about this before. One of the things about lenses is they also have character. Not every one, or I guess they all have character, but some have that special character to them, something that you just love and you can't put your exact finger on why it's so good. And I was that way with the flagships in Nikon. I loved the D850. I had the D800, D810, D850, had the D700, had the D300S, and great cameras. But when it came to the flagships, there was just something about the color science in it or something that just made it special. That's to my eye. And I've heard other people say the same thing, but I don't know how you prove it or anything else. And lenses, I guess, are the same way. You're always hearing people talk about their favorite lens because of it's not the sharpest lens, but there's just some characteristic within it that makes it one of their favorite lenses. I don't even know what prompted that. Oh, talking about the Sigma, even over the Otis, the Zeiss Otis lenses. Thomas says the 400 to 600 is a must for shooting. That range is a must for shooting wildlife in Africa. Yeah, I don't think I would discount but I like zoom lenses. And yes, I'll concede that they may or may not be as sharp as the primes, but I just like the flexibility, especially when you're shooting anything that has the possibility of moving nearer or far.
Yeah.
That's just me, though.
Well, in that case, like if you're shooting from a boat or you're shooting on a safari in a moving vehicle, you don't know how close the vehicle's going to be able to get to the subject. Sometimes they can get really close, and then that lens is going to be too long, and you're gonna want a 70 to 200 on your camera instead. And but I think the zoom is definitely more handy in an environment where you're on a boat or in a moving Jeep or something, or an SUV.
Yeah. So Jeff, I'll ask you, how do you actually carry that? Those being the three main lenses, do you have them with you all the time in case, or are you carrying them on individual cameras? And I know you meant the 200 to 500 there. But I'm just curious, are you carrying two cameras and maybe carrying one of the other lenses or whatever?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of all over the place with that. I mean, sometimes I just have, depending on what I know is in the area at the time, I might just bring my 500 PF with the Z9 and just bring the one body. Now, there's other times if I know there's a lot of birds flying in, spoonbills or ibis or whatever, and there's going to be groups and they're going to be close to the road in this particular area, then I might want to bring my 24 to 120 because I might want to get that wide angle shot of the group of birds that I can't get with that 500 PF. I can't back up far enough to make that work.
Right.
And in that case, I would bring another body with me, but my other body's a D850, so I'd probably have to use my old F mount 20 to 24 to 70 for my wide angle and keep the 500 PF on the Z9. I would do something like that. I carry two bodies sometimes. I didn't use it in the winter because wearing layers and with the cold, sometimes I had like 3 or 4 layers on. Even down here in South Carolina, it'd be 12 degrees sometimes with a wind chill. But in the summer, when I'm just wearing a t-shirt, I bought one of those cotton carriers, and I got it where I can carry 2 cameras on it, and those things work great. I have one just hanging right down, right on my chest level, and I got one on the side, easy to lift them out of the holder and pick them up and take a shot and put them back in, and I love that. I just don't use it in the winter. Too much of a pain to adjust all the straps with all the extra clothing on and everything. So in the summer, I like it.
Yeah. I prefer to carry 2 cameras. I mean, there are times when I may just carry one if I'm running out in the backyard, obviously, or whatever. But if I'm going out to shoot an event, you can bet I'm going to have the double carrier strap and carrying 2 bodies and 2 lenses, just because it's just so convenient to reach down and grab the other focal length. John talking about what he carries or carried. And the key here being it gave him the opportunity to be ready for whatever focal length or distance he had to shoot. And I guess that's the way I feel as well. There's a comment up here. Here you go. So, and this is a Thomas. So, your favorite lenses to shoot wildlife in Africa are the 2-400 and 600. Okay, favorite lenses are meaning those are the only lenses that you carry or take or whatever. I'm just curious because it was Gucharin that was on the show, and I just found it interesting. He started carrying just the 24-70 for so many other photos, but he kind of changed his style a little bit. Like he was saying, everybody comes to Africa carrying a giant lens, thinking that every shot they take is going to be a quarter mile away, when often that isn't the case, especially if you have good guides. I just thought it was interesting. I think
he was putting cameras in like homemade cages and stuff on the ground,
right,
where the elephants were kicking them around, and then he was remotely firing the camera from the vehicle and getting those shots as the animals approached, which was a really neat perspective that you normally would not see.
Right. But because I had asked him about, what would you suggest people coming to Africa? And that's when he brought up specifically, how he had changed. Yeah, he was shooting wide primes and things like that in his little buggy, he called it.
Yeah.
But he talked about some of his aerial photography obviously was with the 24-70, which I thought was interesting too. Backpacks have helped. I agree, Chad. Roy adding to Thomas's comment. Long Rider asking, does Nikon have a 2-400? We have a 180-400. Yes, we had the old 200-400 f4, wasn't it? All right, this is where Roy gets to chime in. He's already answered it. Nikon has a great 200-400 f4. Yep, I remember seeing a lot of photos with that lens 10 years ago or so, 10 or 12 years ago. That was a hot lens.
I mean, I think now in the Z mount, you'd go with the 1-4 right now.
Yeah. Well, the 1-4 actually, I guess, replaced the 80-400, which a lot of people did not like, but I've already been down that path talking about it before in streams. I like the 80-400 for what I was using it for, and that would be sports or motocross. But I can understand why some people didn't care for it. It's not that it wasn't sharp, because it was. I think it was incredibly sharp. It's just the rendering of the out of focus area is a bit busy with the zoom. And I guess you could say the same thing with the 1-400. I wouldn't say it's busy, but when you compare it to a prime 400, yes,
Yeah.
that 2.8 400 is definitely going to knock it out of the park. So yeah, this is interesting. Any best Jared Poland will jump ship to the Z9 after watching his 1-minute video using the Z9 to capture a baseball bat breaking. I did not see that video, John. I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do. I think, and my take on Jared, I'm not a fan, but I respect the guy, and maybe it makes me feel better to say it this way. It's his business. YouTube is his business. It's what puts food on the table, gas in the car or whatever. And he's going to do what he needs to do to continue to, feed himself. I'm not going to say feed his family. I don't think he's married, but point is it's his business. And, when you have a business, I guess you can, and no offense, Jared, I don't know whether you are or you aren't, but you can, sometimes bend your own rules and say things or whatever to keep the business running. So I don't know what he will do. If Nikon has something superior come up in the real near future, there is a chance that he would jump to Nikon, I would say. But then again,
he supposedly was talking about just recently switching to Canon.
Yes, he was.
So he has enough money where he can own all three brands, and he can use them all. And some people buy all those who do camera reviews and make their money on their channel, really doing a lot of camera reviews.
Yes.
Who own multiple cameras. Steve Perry has an A1. Steve Perry has a Z9. Steve Perry had, probably a D5 and a D6. So, they're going to have multiple brands and plenty of lenses for both of them, because they're either writing books on how to use them, how the autofocus system works, in the case with Mr. Perry.
Yeah.
So they need to buy them to support their livelihood, and they're fortunate enough to be able to do that. And and that's great if you can do it.
Yeah. Nope, you're absolutely right. But again, with him, it's just his business, and I respect that. Sometimes you can say even things you don't necessarily believe or whatever, just to again keep the business afloat. I don't know how to say it any nicer.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna compromise my morals just for some more views on videos. Let's put it that way.
Well, someone made a comment. They're wondering how fast the 2-600 is going to be, and I mean, they're not leaking anything out. Whether it's going to be a variable aperture zoom or a 5.6 or whatever. But yeah, that's going to be a big thing for me too, because I really think in some cases for me the 800 is just a little too long. A 600, a 600 f4 would be nice, but obviously that lens, a 600 f4, is going to be five figures, and I can't swing that. So the 2-6 might be something that's workable. I'm sure that'll be something that's workable, but I hope it's just a fixed f-stop. I hope it's not a variable aperture lens like the Sony is.
Yeah, or the 1-400, right?
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, it's not going to be an S lens supposedly. So, I mean, which would mean that it may be cheaper than the 1-400. I don't know, but if it is, then how? I hate to say it this way, but how good can it be? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're shooting yourself in the foot if. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. We'll see. It may be a great lens, but I guess that's the difference between the 80-400 and the 2-400 Nikon. A whole lot of price difference and some image quality difference too. And AF, as Roy's talking about here, how fast the 2-400 and 600 f4 lenses focus. Yeah, Hero says Jared doesn't have to pick a camera. He has all of them. Absolutely right.
Yeah.
I guess the reason we want him, we want him to say he's picked Nikon is because we want Nikon to be, promote Nikon rather than others. What most people don't consider is the fact that you're right. He's shooting with all three brands already. James, you taking off already? I guess he is. Jared's video looked like a Nikon commercial is what Greg said. Which video are we talking about? Because I don't follow him, folks. I don't watch. Once in a while, if somebody says you need to watch this, I will.
I take a peek rarely. Once in a great while, I'll take a peek. Well, he did have a video that had nothing to do with cameras. That was heartwarming, where Apple went to him and wanted to give a computer setup for a young filmmaker or photographer, and he contacted somebody he knew, and I believe in Philadelphia, and they found some young kid who had some impressive work but was lacking with equipment, and then brought him into his studio and gave him a whole bunch of stuff courtesy of Apple, and made the kid's day. And that's probably the best one I've seen him do, and it had nothing to do with cameras. It had everything.
Yeah, I agree. I did watch that. I think that was Vanessa Joy recommended watching that, and that's the reason I did. I think that's what it was.
That was good.
It was.
There's your, as you say, Chuck, there's your young person out there making content and restricted by money and funds, and not having the gear to process his videos and stuff, and Apple took care of him, and now he's going to be able to do some really good stuff.
Yeah.
So I was happy for him.
I was too, because he was very humble. I mean, he said, "I'm going to cry." And that actually made me, feel for him, that he's very humble, young man. And yes, he did have some content that looked great. So he's going a long way if he continues down that path. I'm just a little jealous. I want that computer, but no, just kidding. They gave him the studio screen too.
Yeah, and a bunch of a huge amount of storage for everything.
Yes, everything I need right now.
That's what hurts, is storage. I'll tell you, you just don't. You think you may have enough, and you buy more storage, and you get by for another year, and then you're looking for more storage again.
Yep.
It's just, and you can't afford the cloud.
No, I don't want.
If you've got terabytes worth of files, you can't afford to put it on the cloud.
I don't want it in the cloud anyway, to be honest with you. I don't care how secure some people say it may be, but I don't see how you can make that statement. But anyway, yeah. So Sanjit was talking about carrying two bodies, doing some of the research that he was doing, or they were doing. And then he added, spent over 45 days on site, walked over 880 kilometers with them in 2019. Yeah. Yeah. And you're still alive, Sanjit. So many people keep telling me that the cameras are too heavy. The lenses are too heavy. Their shoulders hurt so much at night when they go home. Let's see. Wow. Thomas, motocross, Canary Islands with a 600 F4. I have a friend that shoots motocross with a 600 F4. I'll tell you, that's a chore. Now, I don't think I'd be carrying two cameras if I was going to carry that 600 F4 to the motocross track. And while it is very impressive, my issue with it is it limits what you can shoot on the track. You have to set up, and I love to be able to move around, and as the riders get closer, or when they're farther away on the tele end of the zoom, and on the short end when they're closer and stuff like that. But yeah. Oh, Chad talking about Jared. Yeah, I don't care for him. I don't care. I'm sorry. It's not him. I don't care for his show. I don't like the shtick. I don't like the the little clips from movies and well anyway.
Yeah. And sometimes he's right about things, but as they say, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah, yeah. So he does a Northrop. Long Rider says Northrop trick. Keep all three, make switch videos, and get folks talking and watching. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's very good at creating or developing his dialogue. He's very good at that. I will give him that. So he does. There's not a lot of commitment in what he says until he's ready to pull the plug and say, okay, this one's out now, so I can talk a little more negatively about it, this brand or whatever. But you know what? Again, I give it to him. He's got a fantastic business there going there with his YouTube channel, no doubt about it. It's definitely entertaining for a lot of people, and you know what? That's what it's all about. So happy for him. I guess I should be. He's definitely successful in the YouTube world. John, it's been so long. I don't even know what you agree with. I get going on something and can't keep up with all these. Yeah, okay. This is just another comment John made. You guys have seen it before I have, I'm sure. The interview with Vahagan was really strange. Yeah, I agree. And that's where I really began to dislike him as a person was in that interview because it seemed like he was, I don't know. His personality and mine wouldn't match. There's no way we'd be buds. Not that he wants to, but we're not going to be friends calling
He,
each other.
he
Hey,
doesn't want any friends, I guess, anyway. So
that was the whole point of it. Yeah, my comment, I guess, is I don't go out. No, I don't drink. No, I don't.
yeah.
Whatever. Okay, got it. Oh man, but then you got Manny Ortiz on the other night, and Manny loves the guy. I mean, nothing wrong with that, but he says he's a different person. And maybe he is, but I thought off of his recorded YouTube channel shtick that he would show his, personality more. And if that's what he did, then yeah, I don't know, maybe he's just so busy keeping his channel going that, he can't enjoy stuff. Or I was going to say life, but I'm sure he'd throw a comment in one of my chats saying, "I do enjoy life." uh, Roy says 2 to 600 should be a 5.6 across. Roy, you think it'll be across the zoom 5.6? Yeah, Roy, I think it has to be, honestly, it has to be cheaper than the 1 to 400 because, again, I go back to it's not an S lens. And I guess the quality of the S lens is supposed to be that much better than just the standard lenses. I can't remember how Nikon worded that, but they said something to that effect.
Well, one way they could cut costs too is depends on how many function buttons they put on the lens too. Do they just some lenses only have one, towards the body. Some have one towards the body, and then they have four of them or three or four going around the the front part of the lens.
Right.
So you could save money, cutting down on how many function buttons you put on the lens, and that'll knock the price down too. But and maybe you don't put a you call it VR switch on it because you figure, well, you're gonna set that up in camera.
Yeah.
So there's ways to dumb it down and make it cheaper and not necessarily make it a crummy lens, but we'll have to see what they do.
Hey, thanks, Greg, for dropping that in the chat. Jared Poland video was the impossible shot, and that was one of his shorts. Okay, now at least I can go back and find it. Thank you, sir. Mike Farwell in here. I didn't see you. Did you just come in, Mike? Well, you could have been in here for an hour, considering I've got all these comments that I haven't even got to. You can go all the way to the bottom. Folks like us who don't make a living off of YouTube are just normal photographers who just like to chat about photography and not make views of it, make views off of it. Yeah. Yeah, you're right, John. But this is a good photography and videography is a great thing that if you want to get on YouTube and crank out some videos and things like that, you can get a large following. It seems like today, especially if you're willing to use clickbait and compromise your integrity or your morals. I'm not saying all of them do that, but that does happen. All it takes is picking one brand and going all in and talking bad about the other two or other brands, and man, you'll get a huge following.
Yeah.
And then after a year or so building your channel, you switch to another brand and start trashing the one you used to like, and you get all those people that will join your channel.
Yeah, you get a title that says Canon crushes Sony.
Yeah.
Boom, all of a sudden you think, that you won the lottery or something, or those guys win the lottery when they have titles like that.
Yeah. I just can't do that. I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah, this is a good point too when talking about the price on these lenses, the different motors.
Well, the only thing bad about those voice coil motors is the warning for people that have pacemakers. They're saying don't use that lens if you have a pacemaker. And hey, I hate to say it, but there's quite a few people that have pacemakers.
Yeah. Especially
and if you don't have one now, you might have one. Chuck and I might have one 10 years from now.
Yeah. Mozzman's on it, man. He's flying and staying in here with us. Finally, 2.5 hours from here. Let's keep it going until I land.
He wants us to break the record. Well, he's doing all this from the seat of the plane. I'm surprised.
There you go. All right, Mozzman. I don't know how long we'll be tonight since it's Mother's Day tomorrow, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, Kentucky Ken. He did a quick flop over to, when he did that when the mirrorless bodies arrived, because up to the point of the Z7 arriving on scene, he was all in for Nikon on the hybrid EVF. Remember that? I don't know if anybody remembers that, but he was just sure Nikon was going to knock this out of the park with a DSLR and a hybrid EVF or EVF OVF hybrid. So it was just interesting that he just dumped all over Nikon and went Fuji.
Well, Nikon has an awful lot of glass, in front of that EVF that they had now. It's not just an EVF.
So Northrop is, he has been for a while, Thomas. I'm sure you're aware of that. Hence the recent video that he did where Vahagan called him out on some of his comments about Nikon. And I agree. I you know what? He can say what he wants about a lot of things, but this is that moral issue that I talk about. When you make a statement like, I can't recommend anybody buy Nikon right now, I mean, that's going over the line, if you ask me. He could say best bet right now is X brand, model, or whatever. But when you say by name, I can't recommend buying Nikon, you don't know where that's going to bite you in the butt down the line too, because somebody may skip Nikon in their search for the brand they want to invest in, only to have Nikon become the premier brand, in 5 years. And this guy's already so invested in another brand that he can't switch and would like to. I don't know, just a moral thing for me.
Well, he's digging his own grave, because then when, if not already, or when Nikon has some product that's right up there with the best of them, and they're already there with the Z9, obviously, but as they come out with a Z8 and some other bodies, then he's going to wish that they send him a camera, and they're going to say, sorry, Tony, you're not getting anything from us. Then he's going to be crying about it.
Yeah.
So be careful what you wish for. You can render your opinion, but you don't need to get cocky, and you don't need to sling mud.
Yeah. Sith, that's a good question. I use it for overflow, the second slot. I don't shoot to both cards at the same time. But I don't shoot weddings, and that was a big deal. All the wedding photographers came out of the woodwork over the Z7 when it was announced, and it would only have one card slot. They all said it wasn't professional and you couldn't trust it, and that's why Nikon was terrible. And that started the ball rolling right there. Only to find out 3 months later that Canon had the RF coming out, or R or whatever, coming out with only one card slot. There was a mention of it, and then that was it. That was the end of the discussion about the one card slot in Canon. So, and that was Tony, by the way, Tony Northrup, more than anybody. But Jared brought it up too. So I've never ever backed up onto the second card. I only use it for overflow. But that's me,
Yeah. Well, I do the same thing. I use it for overflow, and of course, that's the second card slot is assigned for my video.
Yeah, Mr. Ronald's in the house, and who else? Ted just came in the house. All right, glad to see you guys. Jed says he thinks Tony's still bitter about not getting a Z9. Well, I'm sure he is, but I don't know the reason for that. Why I don't know if they snubbed him or what. Maybe not. But you remember he had the incident with Sony where he dropped his video about the A7 IV before the embargo lifted. And I'm sure that everybody noticed and thought, well, maybe we won't let you see anything early. I don't know. Oh, man. And, Thomas had said something earlier about his mother had passed away years ago. Mine too, Thomas. But if you're married and you have children, there's another mother that you must consider. At least in America, it's that way. Don't say that.
Or else.
Yeah, you don't tell your wife if you've got kids, well, you're not my mother. Oh man.
My wife is funny about that, though. Today she said, she says, I'm not your mother. I said, well, obviously, but you are a mother. We have children,
Yes.
But she's kind of the opposite way. She's like not making a big deal out of it. But,
that's good.
I know at our age now, we don't make a big deal out of birthdays or anything. It's like we have our birthday, and it's like, all right, let's go out somewhere to eat nice for our birthday. And we don't worry about gifts or anything, because we're at that point in our life where if there was something that either one of us really wanted really bad, we're not going to wait to get it for our birthday. We're going to get it when we want to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Birthday's just like, okay, go out and have a dinner and joke about getting old and call it a day.
Yeah. So John Ishii talked, excuse me, something odd with Tony's relationship with Nikon USA. Yeah. I don't know what's going on there. Can you be an NPS member for all brands? I mean, I guess you can. It's not like having citizenship.
Well, I wonder what the requirement is. I mean, obviously, we both know, Chuck, and everybody does. You know, you have to have so many. You get so many points for lenses and bodies, and you have to hit the points requirement, and you got to have the business part of it taken care of and stuff like that. But I wonder if it's the same way if you're Sony and Canon. Do you have to own so much product to be able to be whatever their version of the NPS is for their brand? I wonder if it's set up the same way. I really don't know.
Yeah. So, Hero's saying that they destroyed EOS R over the one slot, among other things. See, I don't remember that, Hero. I honestly don't remember that. I can remember how they absolutely just burned Nikon Z7 at the stake. I mean, it was almost an exorcism going on. But I know that Tony did talk about, and here you go. I'm going to question his integrity. You not a good thing to do, maybe, but to prove his point in Hawaii. Let me just say what happened, and you guys probably already know. He had an SD card fail when he was out in Hawaii shooting. He was on the Hawaiian announcement trip for the Canon EOS R, and he actually said he had a SD card fail, and this is exactly why that was a bad idea. And you can't be a professional camera, and if it's one card slot, well, I'll tell you, SD cards. How many people had those fail? I have. Before all the other cards, and I even had CF cards fail before XQD and CF Express came along. But I've never had, and I can say this with all honesty, I've never had a XQD card or a CF Express card fail me. I'm sure somebody has, but I've never had one fail me yet. So it makes a lot of difference in what media format we're talking about here. But they did annihilate Nikon over the one slot, and I don't remember them really hammering. They did mention it. I will acknowledge that, but I don't think there was near the hoop-de-doo about Canon's one card over Nikon's one card. Why, I don't know, but maybe Nikon should have let Canon announce first and let them get it all out of their system on Canon and then mention it in Nikon. I don't know. Yeah, I agree, John. Single XQD, yeah. Like I said, I've never had one fail. I hope it stays that way. Ronald, did you get everything done? I know you were doing some Mother's Day prep with the family there and everything. Roy talking about the 2 card slots, one for RAW, second for JPEG. There you go. Let's see. Now, there's something I didn't know. Tony has his business partners. So who are you talking about there, Tony? I mean,
Let's elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, it's interesting. Here you go. NPS, CPS, SPS, LPS, and FPS.
Sounds like a pharmaceutical company.
Yeah.
Those are all the drugs.
Okay. So, and that's what Roy is saying also. You can be an ambassador or whatever they have, or a professional services person with all the brands.
But you got to have a lot of money if you're going to be the NPS equivalent. You're going to be spending a lot of money on all those other brands.
Oh, Long Rider, he's a Sony shooter, and he's saying that. Wait a minute, hit your comment by accident there, Ronald. But we'll we'll live with it here. Yeah, well, other brands passes. Yeah, I agree. I mean, that shows bias. It may be hard to not show bias when you have a favorite, but I think that's the way everybody should be. Sony is 2 full frame bodies and 3 Sony lenses. Okay. So that's the requirement for equipment with Sony. Thanks, Long Rider. Let's see. So you guys answer these questions, and it takes me so long to get to the comments that we've already rehashed it to the point of, I think if you guys are like me, you've already forgot about it also. John talking about he had an XQD card fail on the D4. You know what? I still had the XQD card that they gave me when I bought the D4. And when I sold the D4, I just passed it on to that guy. Amazing. I was hoping that they'd do something for the Z9, but that didn't happen. There were no gimmies with the Z9. Oh, the plastic casing broke. Okay. Yeah, because I tell this story often. I've run an XQD card through the washing machine with it in my pants pocket, through the dryer, and found it when I was pulling the clothes out of the dryer, and the thing still worked. But I can see that plastic could fail anytime, I guess. Yeah, Ron's talking about the same thing. You know, they crushed Nikon, but they passed. I will admit they acknowledged, but they just didn't have the same desire to slaughter, other brands. Somebody did bring up back then too. Sony was one card slot for the longest time early on, but obviously they fixed that, and obviously Nikon fixed it with the upgrade to the Z6 II, Z7 II.
Well, what I find funny with the Sony a little bit, and I'm not saying this to bash Sony, but I'm just saying for all the great video capabilities that they have in the Sony cameras, which they do, they don't really get beat up too much for, and part of it's because of the size of their camera bodies, but they don't get beat up that, you're not using you're not using the type B cards, you're using the type A cards that have less storage capacity, are not as fast as the type B, and cost more money.
Yeah.
So, if Nikon did that, they'd be getting their butts kicked every hour on the hour by somebody. But, Sony has the type A cards in their camera, and granted, part of that is because of the body size being smaller.
Yeah.
But it has disadvantages, and nobody really talks about it much. They just like, okay, whatever.
Albert, I agree with you on this. I used to enjoy watching him back then, and I always enjoyed when he was with his grandmother. I thought that was great. Yeah. I thought that was real. It was really nice to see him doing that. I loved his interaction with his grandmother. Hassan wants to know the most underrated lens. That's a good question. Current or Z? Or current Z or past lens? Most underrated. I'll bet a lot of you folks have one that you want to nominate that you enjoyed and nobody else did. Ched says the 135 or 35 to 135 or the 180. Thomas says the 14 to 24. Mike seconds the 180 Nikkor, talking about how sharp it is and the rendering. $180D AF2, AF 2.8. I don't know. I can't add anything to this. Underrated. Because I'm kind of a vanilla guy when it comes to lenses. I don't have a lot of exotics other than the 200 f2. I certainly don't have any old glass, and I would expect that there's plenty of old f mount glass out there that's superb, but it didn't resonate well with everybody. Speaking of which, I've got to check with Mr. Frame Voyager. He bought one of those radioactive glass lenses, and he was going to make a video on it, kind of make it comical. He got the whole chemical suit and everything to wear when he talks about it.
Big goggles.
Yeah.
Rubber gloves.
Yes, Mike, you're absolutely right. He does know his Nikon glass. He definitely knows it better than I, for certain, but he seems to know because a lot of people do talk about and give him credit for recommendations on glass, and they bought it and found that he was spot on. Oh, especially the older Nikon glass. You know, I'll give you credit where credit's due. You know, I can't talk bad about that part of him, but he just had such a strange personality. And then when he decided to switch, you know, from Nikon to Fuji, you know, that was fine. You switched, no problem with that. But instead of just switching to Fuji and talking about how he loved it, he had to trash Nikon at the same time, which I found kind of weird. Oh, oh man, yeah. How about the AF60D 2.8? I don't know that lens, Albert. Again, I haven't played with a lot of old glass. Ronald, there you go. Favorite color mode for daily photography? Are you talking about the camera setting, whatever they call it, the scene setting or whatever? In other words, landscape, portrait, vibrant.
Fake them out, Chuck. Say black and white.
Yeah. I actually shoot in standard mode, but I've tweaked it a little bit. Believe it or not, I soften it a little bit for if I'm shooting in studio. I kind of like the not soft images, but softer images for portraits. I'm weird that way, I guess. You know, I want the eye to be, you know, extremely sharp if I can get that. But I don't know. There's just something about a portrait giving it that cinematic kind of look to it that I really like.
You know what lens I think seems a little odd to me anyway, on the Z line, is the 40 millimeter f2.
Yeah.
That just seems to be a weird focal length. I mean, a lot of people will get a 50, they'll get an 85, and then usually they'll going backwards, or they'll go down to a 28 millimeter or a 24 millimeter lens. But a 40 millimeter lens just seems like a kind of an odd lens to offer.
Oh yeah, this is a good point that Long Rider's making. Because of the Kodak that they use, you can use the UHS-2 SD cards. Yep. That's absolutely true, Long Rider. I hadn't considered that, but I knew that. Ronald, I assume that means you shoot something similar. Yeah, looking at your website, I love the colors in your photos. But then again, I have been known to oversaturate according to some of my critics. But everybody else loved the photos the way I actually edited them.
No, the king of oversaturation is Ken Rockwell.
Ken Rockwell, TV. It's what he talks about, TV days and the TV days or whatever. Yeah, he's another one, went from Nikon to Canon, and now he's looking at Nikon again, I guess, a little bit. He had a YouTube channel he started, and got about 8 million views. I don't literally mean 8 million, but a bunch of views and subscribers real quick. And then he's kind of faded away again. Talking about loving that 40. Yeah. So Ronald, tell us about it, because a lot of people, it's not talked about a lot, except for the people that actually have bought it and talk about how good it is. All things considered, the cost and all, I mean, how cheap it is.
Yeah, it's only $300.
John's saying it's the new 50. 40 is the new 50. I guess it could be. Ronald says it's crushing for video Z6 II. Yeah, I know, Ronald, your son's shooting. That's right. You were telling me not just about the Z6 II, but that he was shooting with that 40 millimeter f2. It's strange, that lens. Nikon built a 40 millimeter f2 lens and sold it that cheap. It just seems strange. And what compelled them to build a 40 millimeter lens too? Were people really, screaming for a 40 millimeter lens? I don't know. I'm glad they did though, because I'm hearing great things about it, but that's just odd. Yeah, we got a brand new lens coming out. It's a 40 millimeter. Why not a 32 millimeter?
Yeah. Well, I hope they don't go and say, oh, we got a 28.5 millimeter.
Yeah, or a 63
get
millimeter.
Real crazy.
You got a 63 millimeter 1.8 coming out. I guess truth is that none of them are actually exactly 50 millimeter or 40 millimeter or whatever, are they? They're always actually a millimeter or so off.
I know a lot of people like that small. I mean, I thought about getting one just for carry around lens, is the 28 f2.8. I mean, that's only $300 as well.
I tell you, I like that what is this, the special version of that. It's same lens, just the silver instead of all black.
Yeah,
that on that ZFC is one cool looking little carry around camera. It really is. That's nostalgia there. I think that camera has sold well too. A lot of people want it. I even wanted it. Hey, Thomas, thanks for being in here tonight. I know the feeling, man. That's the way it is with me. The cat decides it's time to go to bed. And usually he comes in here and climbs in my lap, but he's laying over here on the floor right now. I guess he's content to stay awake a bit longer. So, but again, thank you so much for dropping in with us tonight. Appreciate your comments. John says, oh, Rockwell. Woody. Wow. Sorry it took me so long to get down here to the comments, Woody. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Hassan, there you go. See, I didn't know this. It's a good question asked about or comment about the 40 millimeter.
Now here's a generic question. I just this will set the chat line on fire here. Certain people who shall remain nameless seem to think, oh, gee, we need to. Nikon doesn't have any fast glass. They don't have enough f1.4 glass, and everybody knows the f1.8 glass is rated really, really well and performs really, really well. So I guess I'm just wondering, what's the general consensus or feeling out there? Is everybody bummed out that Nikon doesn't have a bunch of 1.4 glass, or is it like just a bunch of complaining?
I when I first saw the 1.8s, and then saw the, let's see, we saw pretty early on, didn't we? A 1.2, or did we?
You got the 51.2.
Yeah. And which then led me to believe there won't be any 1.4 aperture lenses, but I was okay with that. I thought, because the price for the 1.2 isn't, it's comparable to f mount 1.4s, isn't it? Well, not when you talk f
Well,
mount
the 51.2 is a lot more money than the 51.8 is.
Yeah,
That's for sure. That's a huge difference.
but the 1.4, now I make a mistake there. The 50 millimeter, Nikon's 50 millimeter was never a fantastic lens, I guess. I know I didn't care for it. Even the excuse me, I just didn't care for it. I didn't care for the focal length too much either. But, to each his own.
Yeah.
But when you get into, let's say the 85, let's go to 85. When the 85 comes out, we'll see what it costs. 85 1.2. But the 1.4G that I have, I don't care for it. I really don't. It's a very slow focusing lens, and maybe it's my version for whatever reason. I don't know, but I don't care for it. And the focal length to me didn't really knock it out of the park. And here I am talking, I'm waiting on the new 85 to see what it does. Maybe I'll buy it, but yeah, do we need 1.4 at all? I mean, is it going to save us any money?
Oh, I mean, do you think they're going to not do 1.4s and come out with a bunch of 1.2s? Or do you think they're not going to do 1.2s?
No,
or maybe
I think
only a couple 1.2s and leave it at that.
no, I think they will, just like they did with the F mount. I think that they're going to be more f 1.2 lenses. That even though the 1.8 is great in my opinion, but at f 1.2, especially since now you're going to have better coatings and everything else in the f 1.2 glass, I would suspect. You may just get some of that dreamy bokeh that everybody wants, at least to have the ability to shoot with that. Everybody talks about the 105 1.4, and how fantastic that lens is. Then what would a 85 or a 105 1.2 be like? Could it be better than the 105 1.4? I don't know. Let's see what everybody in the chat thinks. But it's a good question, Jeffrey. Yeah, I don't know that we know that. I don't know that we know that they won't build 1.4 glass. But I, for whatever reason, that's a feeling I have, though, that they won't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're going to come out with 1.2 glass like in the wide angle range. They're going to come out with a 20 millimeter 1.2 or 28 1.2, or are they going to? I mean, right now, I mean, they got a 24 1.8, and they got a 35 1.8.
Yeah.
And then everything else seems to be, they don't really have. They don't really have any much for 1.2s.
Yeah.
I don't know what, I mean, maybe those are the ones they focus more on after they fill in the zoom range, and then they'll start, working on some faster prime lenses. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. But I don't know why I assumed that that's the way it was going to be. Nikon was going to go 1.8 and then 1.2. I think maybe it's because of the conversation, and it wasn't Nikon officially saying it, but it was somebody from Nikon talking about the 1.8 compares favorably to 1.4 G glass f mount lenses, and maybe that's where I assumed, okay, they've decided to forego 1.4 because the 1.8 is so comparable to 1.4 in f mount. I don't know. You guys tell me, does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like people were saying the 1.8s are better than the 1.4s were in the F mount. So in that case, maybe they're just, if they do anything, maybe they would just skip 1.4s and go to 1.2s. But they're not really talking much about that they're going to come out with a bunch of 1.2s, though. I mean, we're all, I think, hoping or expecting the 85 to be a 1.2, but that would only give them 1.2 lenses, the 50 and the
Yeah.
85. And I don't know if they're ever going to come out with a 135.
That's another lens a lot of people are talking about they'd like to
Yeah,
see on the roadmap. Yeah. I don't know. To me, I'd like to play with all those at one time, 85, 105, and 135, because you're going to find a sweet spot that suits you best.
yeah,
And 85, I think 85 or 105 would probably suit me because all I'm talking about is portraits. I mean, there's a whole lot of other uses for those lenses. People will use them for other things, but as far as portraits go, I think 85 to 105, somewhere in that range would make me happy. I don't even know if I need a 135, although it sounds sexy.
well,
I want,
I mean, I'd like to try the 105 macro,
yeah,
for some portrait shots. I mean, unfortunately, I don't have, my wife is not a cooperative subject, so
mine
uh,
either.
I don't really have anybody to take any portraits of. But I would like to see how that lens would do for a portrait lens. I don't know if other people have used it in that way yet. I'm sure some people have. It's just not me.
So there's John talking about his, he has the 40 and the 28 millimeter. And yeah, those are all great points, John. I mean, and as long as the quality is, I don't mean in the lens or whatever, of course I'm sure that's fine too, but the rendering, if it's great, and a lot of people are talking about how good they are. Frames TM was just talking about it. Remember when he was on? He also has, I think, both these lenses, the 40 and the 2.8. He likes them too. Chad saying he'd like a 105 1.4. So that'd be the question: is Nikon going to make 1.4 glass, or are they just going to go 1.8 and 1.2 with some f2 scattered about, obviously, with the 40 here?
Yeah. That would be an interesting question to, if we ever had the ear of a Nikon guy that's high up to say, hey, what are you guys doing a year from now?
Yeah. There are a lot of people saying that too, Hassan. Everybody's waiting for the third party lenses to start rolling. And Nikon may, if you remember that corporate letter that went out, they seem to mention that working with third party or other partners. And so that's something that could happen here in the near future, seeing some of the Sigma glass with Z mount. And Long Rider saying that 1.2s aren't needed any longer with better ISO shooting and better post software. I don't think anybody's buying them. Honestly, Long Rider, I don't think people are buying 1.2s for low light situations anymore, hardly. I think that's just a benefit of having it, but they're buying it more for the bokeh, the out of focus area. And the 105 really brought that into play, at least on the Nikon side. Everybody fell in love with it looking at the bokeh on that lens. So uh, I think you're right on the better ISO and everything now. I agree with you, which is why on that 800 being 6.3 wouldn't scare me a bit,
No,
not a bit. A lot of
no,
people are thinking that they got, and they need 2.8 glass now to shoot some indoor activity, sporting activity and low light night sporting events. And I don't know if that's the case or not, if you absolutely need 2.8. And if you're going to shoot with the TC, you're not shooting at 2.8 anymore. So what have you gained? I don't know.
You're not going to get an 800 that's a 2.8 anyway. It's
No.
not. No one has it. No one probably ever will. So it doesn't. It's kind of an irrelevant thing.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, I know that Nikon, he expects he's going to shoot a lot of low light sports at night, and some indoor stuff. And he wanted the 2.8 just so he doesn't have to push the ISO. But I'm not afraid to do that anymore either. I think that we're past the days of being extremely afraid of noise. I know people still love to pull the photos up and, zoom to 400% so they can show you that there's noise in it and this and that and whatever. Or look at the shadow here, blah, blah, blah.
You go make a print and everything that you see is noise all bleeds together with the ink and you don't see it anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's like, just because you could see it on a digital screen does not represent what you're going to see when you print it out.
Right. Yeah.
But a lot of people don't print.
No, it's true. That's true. Which we talked about that Wednesday. If you don't print, it's the only way I know to guarantee you'll have a photo for at least 100 years if you can keep it out of fires and other floods and whatever. But the point is that digital world, I don't know. It's going to be difficult to keep files. Not that I plan to be looking at reviewing my files 100 years from now, but if you want them for others, for family members or whatever, So, yeah. Another comment here by Greg. 1.8s are less than the older 1.4 lenses are based on past experiences. The idea that f1.8s are less, than 1.4, based on past experiences that are not consistent with the performance of the new S line 1.8 primes. True. And again, I think Nikon tried to make that point early on talking about it. I can't remember who it was that was talking about it, but it was a Nikon representative basically saying, well, if you look at our 1.8s, there isn't a remarkable difference between 1.4. So we'll see. We'll see what they do. But that's a great point you brought up, Jeff. That's a good question to throw out there to people, make them scratch their head. Will there not be any 1.4s?
Yeah.
I
mean, there aren't right now.
Yeah. It's easy to say, well, right now there isn't.
Yeah.
So Greg talking about it here again. That's my experience too, I think, Greg. 1.8, so no point going for 1.4. I love my 1.8s, John's saying. Yep. John, would you be interested in some of the lenses in the 1.2 though? Does that interest you? That'd be an interesting question. Both Nikon and Sigma are proving 1.4 are not really needed. Yeah. May not be worth the market effort, Greg's saying. Ronald talking about the 105 macro, talking about it's superb. And everybody that has bought that lens has said the same thing, Ronald. And the old 105 macro I know people used for portraits too. That it was actually seen as a great portrait lens as well. Hero talking about 1.2 is also always useful too. Yeah. So the only reason I want the 1.2 is just for some creative stuff, basically melting the background and stuff like that. Although type of shooting will change and everybody will be tired of butter backgrounds and want to see more of the environment. Then there won't be any need for anything faster than f4. And so many people that, argue for and against 1.2 aperture, so many people say, well, the depth of field at 1.2 is so shallow that you're going to have models that have the tip of their nose in focus and the rest of their face out of focus. Well, that's true and not true. It just depends on, the distance from the model you are. So
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's more of a problem in the studio where you don't have a lot of room.
right.
I mean, but if you're outside, that won't be a problem.
Yeah. BFS talking about the old 50 here. The old rule of thumb, 50 f mount 1.8 is harsh out of focus, while the 51.4 is smooth. Most 1.2 is creamy. Yeah, and that's probably a good way to describe it. But now, if we change that now with the Z mount, the levels of creaminess.
Well, I'll tell you, even the 500 PF wide open, which is 5.6, has beautiful isolation.
Yeah.
For the background. I mean,
right.
it is creamy looking. I mean, it looks great.
So I did that test with the 1:400 with the 2.0x teleconverter and shooting at 800 millimeter equivalent. And if you just have to watch the background, how far or close your subject is to the background, but you can melt that to almost nothing. It almost looks like you painted a wall behind the subject at 800 millimeter. Obviously, being close to the subject and having the subject a long distance from the background, but the background just goes away. It's just gone. So that focal length has a whole lot to do with it in the bokeh, no doubt about it. And yeah, I've seen the 500, seen some of the photos, and they're fantastic. Yours, Josh took a lot of photos with the 500 that I thought were just fantastic. And there's an elephant in the room when we go to Bayou Josh. Everybody's talking about it. How do you guys feel about Josh picking up a Sony camera? I'll just go first, and I'll say that doesn't bother me a bit. That's his prerogative, and it doesn't change my opinion about Josh. But I guess a lot of people feel differently. There are comments made about it saying that he betrayed us. I don't know where you get that from. He didn't betray anybody, he never signed a contract or, whatever, saying, I promise to you, all you people that watch my videos, I will never leave Nikon. But if that's what he wants to do, that's fine. It's not something that I would plan to do or think, I might do, but just throwing that out there for your all's comments, because there is a mixed bag of comments about him picking up the A1 and the 600 F4 Sony.
He used that in his last video that he did, and I had sent him. He commented on my channel on something, and then I wrote back and said I heard a rumor. And I said, don't take any crap from anybody. I says, you're going to use what you feel comfortable using and what you like to use. And that is not a problem with me, and it shouldn't be a problem with anybody else, but that it will be for some. And he just may be one of the many that will have multiple systems, and he'll use them both.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. But I don't care what he shoots, because I enjoy his work. So it doesn't matter what mechanism you use to show your vision with. Your vision is what's important.
No, I agree. And I said the same thing I talked to Vahagan and I talked to Ronald today, and I was telling them the same thing. I like his content. I don't care what he used to get it. I just like his content. So if his content remains the way it is, then we know the camera doesn't make a difference. Now, if it changes, then we can start saying, well, why? But
yeah, because even if he likes the A1 better, which if he does, fine. But he's not going to be one that's going to all of a sudden turn around and start slamming Nikon like others do. I mean,
no,
I think he has a respect for all the brands, like I think we do.
Yeah.
And I don't you know, so there's no reason to slam him. I mean, he's just going with what may work out a little bit better for his use
Now,
cases.
the one thing that I think everybody wants to know is why. You know, that's going to be an obvious question. So I noticed he said in his video, in one of the comments or something, that he knows he owes that to the crowd and he's working on it. You know, his response to the switch. So either
So
way,
is he implying that he made the hard switch then at this point?
yes, yes.
Okay.
And I've heard, and it's just rumor, but I've heard he's already sold his Z9. So I don't know. May be true, may not. But the whole point of, you know, I brought it up because there are people that are attacking him, literally attacking him and saying, you know, you betrayed us or you betrayed Nikon or whatever. Probably not the word I would use.
Oh,
But I thought it was interesting, but I guess he will address it. He started it with just one of the cards on YouTube, picture of the camera and the lens, and just, I guess he was testing the water to see what everybody was going to say. And then you're right, his last video was with that kit. So
yeah.
hey, good on him. You know, whatever
Yeah.
he wants. And I won't lie, I'm interested to know, you know, what it was that he just didn't like or did like over Nikon. You know, about or over Nikon. So just interesting. But yeah, get ready for that. There are going to be some more haters in comments, I'm sure, when he comes out with his reason why he switched. He doesn't owe anybody that, by the way.
No, no, no. Like you said, he'll comment on it only because everybody's going to make it a big issue and
Yeah.
he'll feel he owes an explanation, but he really realistically doesn't owe anybody an explanation.
No, he doesn't. So maybe I'll jump by some of these comments and get down here where everybody's addressing the Josh thing. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Greg. She picked up a A7 IV and the 1-400, wasn't it? Sony lens, and she likes it. Here's David saying, sold all of his Nikon gear. I offered to buy some of it if he said that it was all gone. Wow. Okay. I haven't personally talked to him, so I didn't know. But like I said, I saw some of the comments, and you know how people are.
Yeah. Well, I know he was waiting on the 400. I don't know that he ever got it though. I don't think he ever got it.
Yeah.
Not that he would have any problems selling that if he had it. I mean, people want it.
Long rider here. Let's see. What has a smaller depth of field, 400 2.8 or 600 f4? Most photographers get it wrong. Well, because of the focal length, I'm going to say the 600 f4 has a shallower depth of field,
Yeah.
but that depends if you're talking about both on equal playing ground,
Yeah.
distance to subject for that focal length, then I would guess the 600 f4. I don't know.
Yeah. I would say the same thing, providing that your lens to subject distance is the same.
Yeah. Mike Farwell said, see, did Sony give Josh his gear? Can't blame him if they did. I hear you, Mike. I hear you, buddy. It's hard to turn down $20,000 worth of kit.
Well, hey, I think he has over 14,000 subscribers now, so he's a major, whether he intended to be or not when he started out, he's a major player in the game and he's a major influencer, whether he considers himself to be an influencer or not. He is.
Yeah. I know it's taken me a long time to get down here, Hero, but yes, sir. I guess by now you with all the conversation, you know that he did. And like I said, I don't have a problem with it. If he had a reason to do it, and it's his prerogative to do so. Let's see. Chad talking about. I couldn't find a legitimate or a logical reason to be upset about Josh's switch. I think my feelings deal with all the unjust criticism Nikon gets, and I tend to stick up for the underdog. Yeah, I understand that, Chad, and I won't lie to you. I was a bit taken aback when I saw that. When he posted the Sony camera and lens, I'm not an idiot. I knew exactly what that post was about. You know, you wouldn't do that without LOL or haha or something in there if it was a buddy's kit. Hmm. Yeah, Albert, I agree. I agree. He's entitled to do whatever he wants. And, I'm with you, Jeff. He's not going to bash Nikon after the fact. He may bring up why he did it. And
Yeah.
and some people will say, well, he's bashing Nikon. No, it's what he observed with Nikon over Sony or whatever. I have a feeling I know what it's about because he gave us a good hint.
I think it's gonna be two things. If I'm gonna guess, I think he's gonna say that the A1 autofocus is still slightly better, and then the second thing is gonna be the weight.
Yeah. AF, I'll guarantee because he was
Yeah.
giving us hints already about it. I don't mean he was literally giving us hints, but his comments were hints to what might take place.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but again, that's okay. Ronald and I were talking about, the issue with the AF and, the big debate over Nikon's AF right now compared to even with the Z9. And in that conversation, I was thinking about it. And, I think the debate is not about the AF other than in birding because you can't prove to me I am a Z9 owner. You can't prove to me by talking about it and tell me that if there's a moose 100 yards from me that I can't get the Z9 to lock onto it. But now I will admit these tiny songbirds that are in the brush over here, I do have a problem with the Z9 locking onto them. But I'm guessing as my acquaintance, I say buddy, but friend or whatever, but that has the A1 says you're asking it to do the impossible because the Sony has an issue like that. Now it may be more exaggerated with Nikon. I don't know, or that may be what Josh observed with it, but who knows?
I'm putting out photos of the week again on tomorrow, and some of those photos are tree swallows in flight, and I got them. Now I'm not gonna lie and say, and I got them and they're tack sharp, but were there a lot more that were not tack sharp? Yeah, because you can't even move the camera fast enough. I didn't use the full frame autofocus. I had 3D tracking on, and I tried to lock onto them in a different focus mode while they were flying. I probably made it harder on myself than I had to, but I did manage to get the shot. So in the end,
Yeah.
did you get the shot? And the answer is yes, I got the shot. Did I get it every time? Absolutely not. But if I tried, autofocus full, and let the camera, try to do it, maybe it would have worked better. I don't know. But there's always still stuff that you're learning, and depending on your subject matter, certain modes are going to be better than others. But I still got it with the 3D tracking, and they came out pretty good. So it's possible, but you're shooting at 1/5000th of a second or faster to try to get a bird like that, because they're so fast. They're crazy fast and very unpredictable in their flight pattern.
Yeah. I'd say good on you because I haven't succeeded in that yet, Jeff.
Well,
But
I'll
it's
tell
neat.
you, here's the life of a nature photographer. When it's
Yeah.
boring, you know what we do? And there's no lie. There's two things we do. Everybody laughs when I say it. My buddy and I, we if we don't have any birds around, you have certain fish that'll jump out of the water, and they'll do 3 jumps. So we'll try to guess where they're going to jump, and we'll catch the first jump, and we'll know about where the second jump's going to occur. And we're shooting pictures of fish jumping out of the water, and we're getting them.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but we're getting them.
Yeah.
So that's like something to do when we're bored and we got nothing else to shoot, or we start looking for dragonflies and stuff like that. We start shooting insects, you know.
Yeah.
But there's well, let me tell you, sit there and try to shoot a fish, trying to guess where it's going to jump out of the water, and if you get one of those, you feel darn good.
Yeah.
It's like you're a magician for the day.
Yep. Ronald says, if I was a birder, I get it. And he also says, number 2, if he were Joe McNally, I would be bothered. Yeah, I agree with you, Ronald. You're right. That would scare me. If he were Jerry or Matthew, then maybe I would be bothered. Josh, run your race, dude. Yep. Good on you, Ronald. I agree with you. Do your thing, Josh. You know, I love watching your content. It's therapeutic for me. I just love the calm and all that you put into it. So I'm behind you. I'd rather you shoot Nikon, but if you feel Sony's the way to go, good on you, brother. So Long Rider, he says, I shoot Sony. I don't think the AF is an issue for Z9. I think it's more related to the ease of editing the Sony codec. Could be. And, you know, maybe he's going to answer that. He said he was going to put something together, I guess a video addressing his switch, but whether he does or he doesn't, that's fine. But you could be right, Long Rider. I don't know. And see, David says Sony Bird AF may just work better than Nikon Bird AF. Since he is a bird photographer, that could just be a good enough reason to switch. I agree with you too, David. And I do believe that may be it. At least in his eyes, that's the way he sees it. And I'm not looking through his eyes, so I can't, say he's right or wrong.
I mean, I think with the new firmware upgrade on the Z9, that the autofocus differences, even with bird and flight photography, is minimal. But if you want to say, and this is like something that Mark Smith will bring up, he'll say, well, if you have one scenario where 4 out of 5 times you nail it, and let's say the other scenario is 2 out of 5 times you nail it, which one would you rather have? Not like you can't get the shot, but you're working a lot harder to get the shot and you're throwing away a lot more images. And, if you're getting paid for your images, then that might be enough to make you change. And it doesn't mean the other guy can't do it. I mean, I got shots with my D850 that people would say, oh, how did you get that with a D850?
Yeah.
D850 was fine for wildlife. It really was. I mean, not for video. By video standards, it's horrible. But in terms of wildlife, it was good. But it never the 3D auto tracking on the D850 was horrific. So you never used that.
Right.
I mean, so basically, you could never track it. The focus point didn't follow the bird. I mean, you were using a focus point or a group of focus points, and you were moving the camera to keep it on the bird, but you'd get great photos, I mean, so I don't knock anybody to using a D850 for wildlife. It works great. But yeah, the beauty now of being able to compose, it's just so much easier with the Z9.
Yep.
Because if you're on the eye autofocus, especially, you could lock on a static subject. You could lock on the eye of the bird and then move your camera and get the composition the way you want. And the focus point is sitting on the eye of the bird.
Yep.
Even though the autofocus box might be at the other end of the viewfinder, it don't matter. You're locked onto the eye over here. The autofocus box is way over here. You're still getting a shot. You compose it the way you want. You take it. I mean, it's great. You couldn't do that before.
Yep. No, I agree. Hey, folks, I think I'm going to pull the plug. I'm a bit tired tonight, and tomorrow's Mother's Day. Got to take care of my beautiful bride and all. But hey, great conversation tonight on all things, which is typical for us. We don't limit ourselves to any one small topic. We'll take the conversation wherever it goes. And there's always quite a bit of learning from me, from you all out in the chat room. And I really enjoy it. But I hope everybody that has a mother that they want to visit or say Happy Mother's Day to, or pay her tribute for her mothering, or your wife. In my case, it's always, mother of the children. Hey, it doesn't matter. I'm not your mother. So, yeah, I got to take care of her. She takes care of me. So, anyway, I appreciate everybody showing up as always. We had quite a few folks in here tonight, and again, we have a lot of people that sit sit out the chat portion and just watch and I guess listen. Appreciate you folks too, but if you're going to be in here, by all means, jump in and say something to us. If you got a point to make, this is a place to do it, because we're not going to chop your legs off, or we may debate a little bit, but we're not going to assassinate you over a differing opinion. And I think you'd enjoy it if you just get in here and chat with us. All right, Jeffrey, as always, thank you for showing up and being in here as the guest host. I guess you are.
I don't know, whatever you want to call me.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. And I have talked to Simon.
That scab you can't pick off your arm. I keep coming back.
No, I think everybody enjoys you being in here too. I have talked to Simon at Ordinary Filmmaker, and I think he may make an appearance or two over time here. I like Simon because he's fair about his reviewing of things, all brands and everything else. And he's interested to see what Nikon's up to with all the other camera bodies that are going to come out, because he really likes the Z9. He likes the lens lineup. I'm not saying he's switching or even thinking about that. I'm just saying that he's very fair and equitable in his comments about all brands. And he's going to jump in and talk with us too from time to time. So that's coming up. We get 2 or 3 of us in here. We'll turn this party upside down, I guess.
Well, I'll be sitting here drinking beers like, there will be a beer requirement.
I'll throw this comment up here, Hassan. Yeah, Hassan, you know what? I don't know if it's you or somebody else, but it's come up a couple of times to invite Ken over here. And you know what? I may do that. The hard part about doing that is, I don't know who else would jump in that's not part of our community, but just jump in on one of those streams just to get in here and, get stupid because they don't like him so much or whatever. I guess I could count on you guys to help control that as well. But I may try. I may give him a shout and see if he'd be interested. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, someone mentioned Raymond Parker. He's a very gentleman type of guy. He'd be a nice guy to get on too.
Yeah. Have you all seen Von Hughes? What's his name? Von Hughes. First name I can't remember. He's a Nikon shooter as well. I can't remember his first name, but I may contact him because I like him. I love his passion and his, he's smiling all the time when he's talking about Nikon and whatever. I may try to get him to come on the show too. He just seems like a nice guy. Something Von Hughes. I can't remember his first name. All right, folks. See, it's so hard to say goodbye. But anyway, thank you all. His first name, see, I got sidetracked, Greg. You sidetracked me with Vaughn. Yeah. I thought it was something Vaughn Hughes. I thought he had, I can't remember though. I'll find him again though. I'll find it. I can't quit looking at the comments now. You guys won't let me go.
They're typing I think they're typing faster on purpose.
Yeah, I think so.
I think they're trying, well, Mosman, I think, wants to have it through the whole flight, the time for him to drive to North Carolina, wherever he's staying. So he was looking to break the record tonight, I think. So somehow I think he'd be typing while he's driving the car, Chuck.
Yeah.
I mean,
I wish I could drag it out that long, but I don't think I'm going to make it.
no.
All right, folks. Again, thank you for being here. You guys are always great. Always have a great time. Learn a lot from you. And I hope our community continues to grow, especially with good people like you all, because that's what makes it fun. So another Saturday night in the books. Again, thank you for being here. If you haven't, please drop a like. It motivates me. It keeps me motivated. It makes me feel like, I'm doing something right here. And if you're out in the wings just watching, maybe you've stuck it out this long, which is very doubtful. But if you just jumped in here to check it out, consider subscribing if you haven't. And, we just get in here and shoot the bull, whatever it is about photography. And if you've been in here for a little while, you know that we're not bashing any brand. We are kind of Nikon centric in here, but we have several people that shoot other brands. So consider joining us and speaking out. We're looking for people to debate and talk about things going on in the camera world, and photography world. So that said, I'll quit running off at the mouth. Jeffrey, I'll let you say goodbye, and then we're going to pull the plug, gentlemen.
Good night, everybody. Been a pleasure.
Thanks for being here again tonight, guys. We'll see you Wednesday. So, every Wednesday at noon Eastern starts another live stream. And then again on Saturday night, next Saturday night. So Wednesdays and Saturdays we're on. So you're welcome to join us and talk. That said, good night to everybody and God bless you and have a wonderful rest of the weekend, Mother's Day.